Hello guys, so for today's video I'm going to be doing a fun little June wrap-up. I don't think I've ever done a wrap-up ever on this channel, which is really weird, but I'm basically just going to be talking about every single book that I read during the month of June. I this year have started book journaling, which I always thought was a little weird. I'm like, why do people do that? Which I don't know why I would think that, because I'm such a person who loves to journal. Like, let me show you. As we can see, I'm a big like journal girl, like love. Anyways, I started a book journal this year in March. Yeah, this is what she looks like. Anyways, the reason why I started one of these is because I would just read a book and then go on to the next, and it felt like reading as well. Like, it's entertaining, but it had no purpose. Like, I was just on to the next, on to the next. So my hope was that book journaling will kind of help me remember my books and like my thoughts on books, but also gives me time in between what I'm reading to kind of process my thoughts and all of that, and it gives me a little bit more of a purpose. I don't know why that had to do with this whole video, but basically I'm going to be referencing this for kind of my thoughts and opinions and feelings and whatnot on the books I'm going to be talking to you guys about today. This is a stack of books that I've finished in June, plus my Kindle reads. So we're just gonna hop right into it at this point. Okay, so the first book, I actually started it in May, but I finished it in June, so I'm just gonna count it as part of the books I read in June, and that is Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. I read it on my Kindle, so I don't physically have it, but everyone and their mothers have read this book this summer. It's very popular. I think it's a debut novel by this author, and I personally really enjoyed it. It was entertaining, it was fun. It's a mix of The Summer I Turned Pretty and Love in Other Words, which I love both of those books. If you mix those two books together, the plot is there's this girl who her family buys this vacation home, and she goes there every summer and like every holiday, and there's these two boys who live next door, Sam and Charlie, and Percy, the main character, starts kind of forming a really tight bond with Sam, who's the younger brother, and their relationship turns into more than just friends. But then something happens and they don't talk for 12 years. And Percy comes back after the death of Sam and Charlie's mom, and they kind of figure out how to go from there. I enjoyed the book. It was entertaining, but I didn't love it as much as everybody else did, because I don't know how to explain it. Like Sue, for example. Sue, I think that's her name, is Sam and Charlie's mom. Sue is a catalyst for Percy coming back and her figuring things out, and really pushes the story forward, but we don't get that much of Sue, so that pulled me a little bit out of the story and feeling for these characters. And that's the same with Charlie, Sam's older brother. There's bits and pieces of him, but I want more for me to be able to really connect with the story and feel for it. So with that being said, I gave it, I think, 4 stars. It's entertaining, it's a good read. It just will never live up to Love in Other Words or The Summer I Turned Pretty. Those are definitely, I don't know, they're just iconic. You can't miss. Yeah. Basically, those are my thoughts. Okay. The next book that I read is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. I picked this one up because it's going to be a movie, and I saw the trailer, and I needed to read it because I'm going to go see the movie, and I was like, might as well read the book before I go see it, because if I see the movie, I know I'm not going to read the book. Also, everybody talks about this book. So, I read it. I enjoyed it. Honestly, it's really great writing. It was just slightly slow. So, if you don't know what this book is about, it follows a main character. Everybody calls her, Kaya. Everybody calls her Marsh Girl. And she grows up in North Carolina, in the marsh, and she raises herself. At the age, I think, of like 7. You know what? I'm not even going to attempt to guess her age. I know it's in here somewhere. I just can't remember. But at a young age, her family kind of leaves her to fend for herself. She's really into the science of nature and the marsh, and she uses that to her advantage to survive on her own. And honestly, that part was interesting. It does make it... Oh, I didn't even finish explaining the plot. Then she sparks up a romance with 2 different boys at 2 different times, and one of them ends up dead. So Kaya is the main suspect, and it's a murder mystery. The whole nature marsh aspect was interesting because I don't really read a ton about that, but it also was a bit slow for me. So it wasn't my absolute favorite book, but I would recommend it. Well, honestly, at this point, just go watch the movie. I would recommend watching the movie. I don't know, but that's just my personal opinion. Don't come for me. It was still a great book. Really great line. Like, I have so many good quotes on this page from this book because there's really great writing in here. But if you're like me and you just mostly read a lot of romance fiction, I don't know if you'll absolutely love the book, but I thought it was entertaining. Okay, the next book was also a Kindle read, and that is the Happy Ever After playlist by Abby Jimenez, which actually I didn't realize she owns Nadia's Cakes, which is in Minnesota, and she won Cupcake Wars. And I'm from Minnesota, so that's why I was like, oh my god, wait, she's from Minnesota too. And then in this book, well, also the main guy character's from Minnesota. And then there's a dog in this book, obviously, because the dog's on the cover. At least I think the dog's on the cover. The dog plays a very large role in this book. But the dog is a duck trolling Nova Scotia golden retriever. And that's the dog that I have. So it was perfect. It was fitting. Loved that. Anyways, this story follows Sloane, and it's about 2 years after her fiance died. She's slowly trying to put her life back together when this dog literally jumps in through the sunroof of her car. So she calls the dog's owner, obviously trying to give the dog back, but he doesn't answer for like 2 weeks. So she's taking care of this dog for 2 weeks. Finally picks up the phone, and she doesn't know this, but it's this famous singer named Jason, I think. They start texting, and it forms into what we can all guess is a romance. This one was honestly super cute, very entertaining. I read it in like 24 hours. I loved it. It's a little deeper than you think it's going to be based on the cover. It's just like a cutesy little romance, which it is a cutesy little romance, but then there's depth to it, and I loved it. Most books, it's like the chase, and then at the very end they get together, but in this book, you get to see the progression of their relationship. Don't let that deter you, because I know some people don't like that, but it really showed them struggling through their relationship, with him being a celebrity and then her also trying to figure out how to be with someone after her fiance dies. So I very much enjoyed it. Jason is a shameless flirt, and it's so cute. It makes for cute little banter, and I enjoyed it. I think I gave it 4 stars. The next book that we have is a reread for me, and it's actually a re-listen. I listened to it as an audiobook last year, and I saw that they're making it into a TV show. I saw the cast on TikTok, and I was like, oh my god, that is the perfect cast. So I decided to re-listen to it. When I first listened to it last year, I was like, oh, it's good, like whatever. Not my favorite though. So let me tell you what the book is. It's Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Okay, let me just start with that. But I listened to it again a couple weeks ago. Sobbed in my car at the end. Sobbing, was trying to look at the directions on maps while just like, Yep. So I think my taste has matured over the year. Not to the point where I'll just read like historical fiction and nonfiction books, but it's definitely matured. And I think Daisy Jones and the Six reads a little bit more like nonfiction because it's in an interview format. But honestly, that makes it really interesting. I don't know what it's like to read the book, but listening to the audiobook, it's a full cast audiobook, and you really start feeling for the characters. I don't even know. Oh, premise. I'm all over the place right now. I think it's based on Fleetwood Mac, not 100% sure, but the story follows this band called The Six and their rise to fame with Daisy Jones, she is kind of like a solo artist, but is best known for her music with The Six. And it just tells the story of them making an album and going on tour, and just everything that comes with it, being famous in the 70s, I think it is. It is just so good. The writing, I want to read it as a book so that I can highlight and annotate, because There's so many good lines in here, but I only have like 4 or 5 ones that I just had to write down while I was listening to it. Just, it's, I know everybody raves about this book, and that's, I think I had really high expectations going into the first time, so then I was like, it's whatever. But then I re-listened to it knowing that I didn't absolutely love it before, and now I love it. I gave it 5 stars because the ending is what really gave it 5 stars for me. So yeah, this next book I'm a little embarrassed. I don't really talk about the smut books that I read, so I don't know if it's gonna make it in the video, but maybe I will. But this, I was appalled. It was just out of pocket, you know? And it was Broken Vow by Sophie Lark. This got great reviews. Just don't mind the cover. That's why I get my Kindle, is because there's some great books out there, but the covers, I would not be caught dead with that. So this one's not bad. At least it's just a face and not like abs or whatever. But anyways, it's the 5th in a series, but I think they're companion novels because it made sense. I mean, I was a little confused. It's a mafia romance about this girl who is, I can never think of the right verbiage for this. Someone's trying to assassinate her? Yeah, I don't know, whatever. And so she gets this bodyguard who is a friend of her brother's, and he happens to be a cowboy. It's just like really out of pocket, and I'm like, what's happening? So, and it was like really, whoa. So for no reason, I don't know. So I gave it 2.5 stars, not just because of that, but also the plot was just all over the place. So I was like, what is going on? And I know people don't read smut for the plot, but I was just so tossed around and confused and appalled. So if you love the book, don't take offense. That was new for me, you know? I thought I'd read everything, but I hadn't. So do with that information what you will. The next book we have, another book that just everybody is reading right now, and it's a beautiful cover. I just had to get the physical copy of it. And then It's Funny You Should Ask by Alyssa Sussman, and I actually tapped this one. This is the only book I've ever tapped, honestly. So yeah, but just look at this gorgeous cover. This is another one where one of them is famous. Now that I'm thinking about it, really into that. I don't know. Anyways, this follows a writer and an actor, and this actor named Gabe. He is set to be the new James Bond, and nobody's here for it. Everybody thinks he's gonna be horrible. He's not British. It's just a PR nightmare. So Shawnee, I know there's some way to say her name, and that's a big part of the book, and I'm sorry, I don't know how to say it, but she is a writer, and she is given the job to write a profile on Gabe and put him in the good graces of the general public. So it follows that timeline, and then also the future where Gabe's career is in the garbage, and she's sent again to fix his reputation. But nobody truly knows what happened that first weekend that she spent with Gabe, and you get to uncover that, and then also them in present day, and it's obviously a romance. So yeah, I thought this was really good. Loved it. So entertaining. It wasn't a 5-star for me. I'm really picky with my 5 stars, so I would give this a 4. I was losing interest just a wee bit towards the ending, but I enjoyed it. It was a fun, cute read. Definitely, it was new, it was refreshing, so I would highly recommend. Okay, now these next couple books are a series, so I can only talk about the first one, but boy am I glad that I reread these, and that is the Shatter Me series by Tahira Mafi. It's the first 3 because I'm on the 4th one right now, but these are the 3 that I read this month. I ate these up. Basically, I read these back in like 2014, middle school, and I only read the first 2, because there was a love triangle going on that I was too immature to appreciate. And now, love. So Shatter Me is the first book, and it is one of those dystopians. I have not read a great dystopian in a while. This is from that era back when Divergent and The Hunger Games and all of that, The Darkest Minds was coming out. Just peak dystopian series. And I miss it. I do. So this was so fun to just get back kind of into that era. It's about a girl named Juliet who, if she touches you, you die. She's in captivity because nobody knows what to do with her, and she's a part of this society called the Reestablishment that I don't really know how to explain it. I mean, it's a dystopian novel, so you can kind of guess, like corrupt government, the earth is dying, that sort of thing. I don't know what else to say to like not spoil it, but this is so good. I'm sure you all have read this because it's really popular. But the way that Tahara Mafi writes, I haven't read a dystopian like this. It's very poetic almost and kind of like lyrical. It's just so entertaining, and I flew through the first 3 books. I finished Ignite Me yesterday, which is the 3rd one, obviously. And I had never read this one. I had read these 2, but forgot basically everything that happened in the plot. I will say a lot happens in these books, but that's what keeps you very much entertained and like on the edge of your seat. Just so much happens. So yeah, honestly, nothing but great things about this. Just if you need a good entertainment, please read. Those are all the books that I read in June. My thoughts are just really all over the place, but like, when are they not? So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.